Hey, this is Anthony with RevZilla. Watch, decide, and ride. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of the new Schuberth C4 Modular Helmet, available at RevZilla.com. Behold in its glory for 2017, this is the Schuberth C4 Modular Helmet, the long-awaited successor to the C3 Pro, which was a juggernaut, and I have on the table to the left. You can see them direct from Germany. This is the apex predator, in our opinion, in the modular helmet world. And remember, if you're looking at a modular, it's not because you smoke, it's because you want the convenience of the flip face, you want to get some air. Ultimately, you want the ability to flip that face up without having to take the helmet off. So, if we look at these two helmets and we think about what Schuberth has done north of this $700 range as we move into 17, they've actually changed a ton. And as I walk through this helmet, you're going to see the sum of the parts coming together. You can see there's some phenomenal nuance here. But in our opinion, there are really a few big changes. And there's really only one negative, but as you're going to see as I pull it all together, we actually begin to forgive it. So the first big change, it's a little bit sportier. You can see from the side profile that this feels like a bit more of a bulbous touring style helmet. This helmet feels a little more Daft Punk in our opinion. It's a little bit more sleek. It still has multiple shell sizes, but what they've done here is they've optimized it so in the upright riding position, it's still comfortable. It still works as well as it ever did, but now you have a little bit more peripheral as well as top line view for your eyesight. You can rock this in a little bit more of the 3/4 riding position. Again, getting a little bit more aggressive. You also see that in where they put the spoiler along the back. The other changes they've made, they've actually increased the ventilation here. So now you're getting 15mm vent holes on the top of the helmet versus 10 to 12 on the previous version. You're going to induce more air. And keep in mind, this is a helmet that really has staked its claim at being super lightweight while also being phenomenally quiet. I mean, they measure these guys in the wind tunnel at speed for quiet, and they measure them to around 82 decibels. So again, thinking about the long distance rider, if you're looking at this level, a lot of times you're going to wear some type of earplug or some type of custom in-ear. If you don't want to do that, you're still going to get a phenomenally quiet helmet. Now, if we think about the weight savings, and this is really a DOT and ECE rated helmet, this is where the change moving forward into 2017, you're actually gaining 4 ounces. But again, very lightweight, still very balanced. You go from 3 pounds 8 ounces to 3 pounds 12. And that was really one of our only complaints. And even if we think about the $750-ish price range that this is going to play coming out of the gates for solids, we start to think about all the things they've improved, and we think that value for dollar has actually gone up as you're going from model to model, because if anything, you're standing on the shoulders of the C3 Pro, and when you move to the C4, you're getting more helmet. Now, the last thing I want to call out very quickly before we dive into fit and we dive into nuance is going to be the new SC1 communication system. I'm going to flip it up really quickly and show you. This is the communication system. This is the battery compartment. When you buy this helmet, it's already pre-integrated with Sena 20S speakers. You're getting an antenna that's integrated into the EPS, and you have a boomless mic system up in the brow that is going to be voice activated. So after the fact, you buy an SC1, you put it in those little ports, it adds minimal weight. It's just very simple. On the C3 Pro and the C3 and previous Schuberth iterations, you have the SRC system, which again integrates to the neck roll. It worked when you had it in. It was a pain in the butt to install, but again, compared to this version, was a bit clunky. So this is a huge leap forward. Now, all of that considered, you're looking at an apex predator in the modular realm. Flip face helmet, German engineering. You're going to see a lot of other changes as I walk my way through it, but again, it's carrying the feature set and functionality forward. And when we get to the fit, they've actually made a key change there as well. And this is actually one of my favorite things. If we look at these again, to get a quick comparison side profile, the fit on this C3 Pro, the predecessor, we would call it intermediate oval. Schuberth calls it its ergonomic fit. Now, we like that fit, and it was a huge leap forward compared to the original C3 that came out that was more neutral and gave people a pressure point in the forehead if you had more of an intermediate head shape. This helmet actually got a little bit better. This helmet is now best. If we look at the new C4, this is a true intermediate in our opinion. The fit has actually been refined even further. Most of the American market is going to be a little bit longer front to back. It's a little bit closer to my head shape. This helmet is actually an even better optimization for an intermediate oval head shape, even compared to the C3 Pro, which was much better than its predecessors. So the fit has taken a leap forward, again, which is a really nice touch. And again, when we think about comfort, we think about a helmet that people are typically investing in to ride 400 plus miles in a day. You're going to want it to fit spot on. You're going to want all the components to work so you forget you're wearing a helmet. It's quiet, it fits properly, it's comfortable, it's balanced. This helmet's going to do all of those things at around the 3-pound, 12-ounce mark. Now, use a size chart, no surprises there. If anything, even more surprises have been refined away. As always, we're going to ship for free if you have concerns. This is a big purchase, so you can always call us. But what I'd love is even quickly at this point, click subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel. Leave me your comments, your questions, your feedback on the new C4s. And again, you can see one of the launch graphics in front of me. They're going to be solids. You're also going to have graphics that come out as well. Now, if we work our way through this helmet, which again, they've refined, they've changed the functionality, they've added speaker sets. You have basically a half integrated comm unit or a Bluetooth unit coming out of the box. They've only added 4 ounces. And in our estimation, we first heard what they were doing, we actually expected the weight to go up dramatically, and we were really concerned. To only see 4 ounces, it was easily explained when Schuberth broke down their new direct fiber processing for how they build their shells. They're still using their composite strong fiber, and strong is an acronym. It's a mixture of Kevlar, resins, composites, fiberglass, typically what you see from a high-end manufacturer. But what they're doing now with their new DFP process that we also see show up on the R2 helmet, it's using a machine to specifically cut lengths of fiber and really build the helmet architecture so that, one, you're getting enough material in impact areas that need to be beefed up. You're using less material in areas that, based on crash data, need a little bit less. Based on testing data, need a little bit less. You're not using any randomization in how this shell is bit. It's machined, it's exacting, it's engineered now with custom-laid lengths of the fiber making this composite instead of a more random sprayed in mold. By doing that, you're saving the bulk and the weight in areas you don't need it, and you're beefing up specifically the areas you do. So again, the new DFP process really takes things to the next level from a construction side of things. And again, one of the other things we're going to talk about when we talk about the shell is they've actually increased the rigidity around the neck roll here at the bottom. When you see this plastic unit here, this helmet just overall feels more precise. It feels more solid. Now, other things they've done as we work your way through the outer shell. You can see the chin. I actually love this. This is one of the geek moments when we first got this helmet. If you look at the chin, it's actually spring-loaded. It just feels great. We don't typically see a lot of other helmets on the market doing this. I actually can't name another one. But again, it vents to the face shield, but the fact that it's a positive action, and again, it's spring-loaded, it just makes it feel really trick, makes it feel really slick. It works really, really well. Now, in the long run, Schuberth, I want to see if by making it spring-loaded, you don't have any issues where it might break down, but knowing that you test typically at a very high level, and again, the Germans are known for their engineering. If I had to make a bet, I'm going to bet that it's going to hold up over the test of time. So there's our vent going to the shield. The shield does come with a Pinlock Max Vision. You can see I have it installed here. It is removable. That's your double paned window system that allows you to anti-fog without chemicals by actually using the laws of physics. If we move up now to our top vent. Now, our top vent still has a similar placement, and the top vent now has been a little bit more slimmed down to add for this more contemporary, sporty, sleeker appearance. 3-position. Closed halfway and fully open. The nice part, as I mentioned earlier, again, this is your main ventilation on the top of the head. It's going to vent to channels in the EPS. They go down the mohawk of the head and exit out through the back. But it's 15mm vent holes now. So they maintain their quiet rating of around 82 decibels. And they actually have increased the holes in which air enters the EPS and enters the helmet from around 10 to 12mm to now 15. So they're absolutely massive on the inside of this helmet. The other cool thing too is you see this silver version here, which again has that metallic quality to it. What they're doing with a lot of their sliders on even their vents or other components is they're actually using color-matched materials in the actual plastic components themselves. So what it does is by having a component that's not actually painted after the fact, you get tighter tolerances. And you'll see that on some of the sportier graphics where you see color schemes tie in where you weren't expecting to see something not be silver or not be black. It has actually color matched, but again, functionally that gives you a tighter tolerance. As you work your way around to the back side of the helmet, you're still going to see, just like the previous version, there's no passive exit, there's no passive vents on the back. But what they've also done here is they've moved that spoiler, and I mentioned that coming into the video. So by taking the spoiler up top, which is more of an upright riding position, and giving you the flexibility to scoop it down and almost move it down to the round to the back side of this helmet here, what you're doing is you're giving the rider to stay a little bit more stable, whether you're upright or even if you're going closer to the 3/4 riding position. Again, getting a little bit bit more contemporary, getting a little bit sporty. They've refined the lines here. And you still have that ventilation scheme where you'll see it in the EPS. It still exits out the bottom here. So you have the air coming down, it comes out of the scoop, and it exits below the occipital ridge on your head down around the neck roll. Now, if you look at the shield, still Class 1 optically correct. Still going to cover your bases on the UV proofedness of UVA and UVB. And again, you're even noticing your turbulators across the top here. And again, that is a technical component that's used to break up high-speed air and laminar flow. And by breaking it up, those turbulators, what they do is they break up that air. They make it a little bit less strong in the forces it's exerting on the helmet. They minimize buffeting. They're actually increasing the aerodynamic properties of this helmet. Now, if you turn it to the side like this, you're going to see my shield goes up and down. If I had another small gripe, it's not a spring-loaded shield mechanism. It does have multiple detents, and it does have a locking feel when it gets to the bottom here. You do have a spike along the front that's going to lock it into place. But what's not happening is that shield's not being sucked in at the bottom. Again, that's a bit of a preference here. I like to see that come into play. It does have a strong gasket around the top and around the seal. It wasn't typically something that we saw on the C3 Pro, so it's not something that we think they have an issue with, but at first glance, they have changed the shield mechanism. And I will call out that the C4 does have a different shield. You can see how it ties in back here and how it rotates with the lid compared to the C3 Pro. So those are not going to be compatible. And I will tell you, when you put a dark smoke shield on this, it does full-on look like Daft Punk, which I think is pretty cool. But you do have the drop-down sun visor, so a lot of times you're not going to need to do that. The other thing, they have changed the release mechanism. It's still super simple. It got even easier. It's now along the sides. You rotate up, it comes right off. Very, very simple. To put it back on, you align it at 12 o'clock. See how quickly I can do this here. I align it at 12 o'clock, and you just rotate it forward, and it snaps back in and goes all the way down. Again, so very, very simple. And you can see in the eye port here how everything ties together. Before I jump into the drop-down sun visor, though, I want to mention that SC1 system that has that boomless mic, the boomless microphones are actually integrated into the top of the visor here. So they're going to pick up, and they're going to be noise canceling and voice activated if you buy an SC1. But again, there's no boom in here. There's nothing hanging out. There's nothing getting in the way. There's nothing obstructing your breath or your view or making it feel claustrophobic. Again, the theme here is move everything away from the face and have it be integrated and out of the way. The other thing to notice, these are reflective panels. You can see them along the top there. Again, integrated behind our shield system. And if we work our way around, you're also going to see the tolerances here. The tolerances on this helmet feel much tighter. And that's by making the shell more rigid, making the neck roll more rigid. Again, everything comes down. You have metallic or alloy connection points here. Cheaper helmets all use plastic materials. And you can feel that very positive snap at the bottom. I will say this too. On the previous version, sometimes on this C3 Pro, I'm going to move my C4 over for a second. It was a little bit, I'm not going to call it flimsy at all. It's still a high-end helmet, but it had more flex. And sometimes you could put this chin bar down, and it would actually snap in out of alignment. Actually, I just did it on purpose because I was squeezing it when I put it down on that side. You can see how that can happen. On this helmet, it actually is not going to happen because everything's much more rigid. It's much more precise. Everything stays in line. Again, that's by redesigning the shell. Now, when we look at it, I'm going to dive into the guts here for a second. But before I do that, I want to show you the SC1 system and how you actually remove it. There's a lot going on here. So I'm going to grab my tool. This is bought separately. It's over the $200 mark. It's really like a Cena 10R functionality, Bluetooth 4.1, 4 riders, rider-to-rider full duplex, music sharing, FM radio. It's got all of those things. There are 2 versions, the Advanced as well. And again, you're getting about 1,000 or 1,500 meters depending on the distance or depending on the level of investment you want to make. But here's the tool that comes with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it in just like that, pull it out. There's my SC1 system. I mean, that's literally a couple ounces, a few different buttons. If you buy your C4 and it comes out of the box, you're just going to have a door that covers that. But after the fact, instead of having to wire the speakers, wire the mic, line everything up, what you basically have is 2 doors. One for a battery, which I'm going to pull out right here, if I can get it out. There we go. One for the battery. Actually, I'm having a hard time getting it out. I'm just going to leave it. Battery right there that stays in place, and then you do have your SC1 unit, which just snaps in over here. I mean, that's literally it, and that's going to have a USB charge, and that is fully integrated, including the antenna within the EPS itself. Now, if I open the helmet up, we'll get a view of the bottom here. You're going to see they've changed your drop-down sun visor mechanism, and you can see it's a very smooth actuation. It's actually smoother than the C3 Pro, and that was actually a pretty smooth actuation to begin with. The cool feature here, though, is you have a 4mm stop. So this stop right here that I'm going to operate with my thumb, you can see it's either over or its back, what that's actually going to do is eliminate 4 millimeters of travel on our drop-down sun visor. So it's anti-scratch, drop, it's going to be fully smoked. Again, it gives you the ability to block out Mother Nature's rays, but depending on the bridge of your nose, depending on your face shape, depending on how far you want it to come down, you have the ability to either leave it in the normal position or put the stop over and it comes down 4 millimeters less. So again, that's a personal preference thing. It's cable actuated, very, very smooth. There's no annoying click. There's no annoying hard stop. Again, very easy to find with a gloved hand. Now, if we work into the bottom and the guts, it becomes a little bit more nuanced here. You'll notice it is still micrometric. That is something that Europeans love, and it is a one-hand operated design. But the way that it's done, you have to actually pull it back. So that is done, it's almost a 2-lever mechanism so that you're not going to ever accidentally open it, hopefully not in a crash as well. And if you look, it's still going to be that ShinyTex material on the inside. Antimicrobial, it's going to be wicking. When I pull it out, you're going to see it's a multitude of different components that are fast drying. And again, they're used to wick sweat away, keep you cool, keep you comfortable while you're riding. So if I open this up, I'm going to pull out my cheek pads here, and my neck roll is actually connected. So my neck roll can come out first. Pull my snaps away that are along the front side of the cheek pad. Again, everything's pretty integrated here, and there should be few instances. You're never going to have to completely disassemble this to put in the comm unit. It already exists. You might pull it out there to give it a wash. And you'll notice this is mesh. This is for the exhaust channel along the back. Notice this is like a micro suede. It's that ShinyTex material. Again, on the bottom, you're going to have this grip material, which if you ever put it on your seat, it's not going to slide away on you, and you do have some reflective along the bottom as well. So if you are in more of the 3/4 position, you're going to have the ability to stay reflective underneath your chin and underneath your jawline, again, as another safety feature. So if I pull out my neck roll, which is a much easier installation or extraction than the previous versions, where if I did this one right now, you'd see that it's a big, heavy metallic ring that is actually adding rigidity. They've gone away from that by adding this new scoop along the bottom, pulling everything together tighter. What you're going to see is I have my cheek pad here. And if I begin to pull off my cheek pad, you're going to see there's a few things going on. The first one is this strap back here. That's the Arrow system, the anti-roll-off system. And what that does is it creates a tight seal along your jawline. These straps come up, and it makes sure if you ever get yourself into trouble that your helmet can't be ripped off from the back. Again, another safety feature that Schuberth has developed. I don't believe I've seen any manufacturers doing this, and I think we first saw that show up on the C3, which would have been 5+ years ago. So they've refined it as they've gone. And what you're going to see is I have to unzip under here in my cheek pad, and I'm going to pull back my strap, and I pass it through the anti-roll-off system. So as I pull it back right there, it opens up. There you go. Now I have my anti-roll-off system. That strap comes out just like that. I pull it out through the back, and now my cheek pad can come off. I still have to get my chin strap back through that port. Little bit difficult, again, but when you get into the engineering side of these helmets, there's just a lot going on. So I forgive them on this because ultimately they've engineered a helmet that hopefully I'm not going to have to take apart very often. And if I pull that out, there's my cheek pad. You see my ShinyTex material. It's very soft. It even gives you coverage across the ear, so it's soft against your ear. Notice the ports along the back. There's no emergency cheek pad removal system on this helmet, but it is a modular, so an EMT can always open the face, a little easier to get off without moving your head. And I personally don't know if Schuberth's ever going to be able to solve an emergency cheek pad removal system mechanism on a helmet that's this integrated with so much going on, including the anti-roll-off system. Now I'm going to try to quickly and briefly do the other side, but I want to get into the guts here, and I want to show you a little bit more about how they have integrated their speaker system, which have some range of movement too. So the speakers come pre-integrated, but you also have the ability to move them. So as I move this one out, doing this a little bit faster, everything pulls through. Oh, look at this, I'm getting even better at it. This one's always the tough side because it's going to have, you're going to see there on the back of my cheek pad, there we go. There's my cheek pad, there's my anti-roll-off system, and again, you have that full integrated cheek pad that comes out. Now on this side, you're going to see down here, there's my Sena 20S speaker. And I'm calling it out as a Sena 20S speaker because it's a thicker speaker, a higher dynamic range. Again, it's less tinny sound on some of the lower end units, even from Sena. I mean, with the super slim speaker, sometimes you're missing some of the low end or mid-range bassiness of the speakers. These are the more premium speakers that carry a full range. Now on the phone, do you really care? Not much. But if you're actually listening to music, it actually matters. And you're going to be the thicker, more upgraded speakers. And you do have the ability to move them. Notice they're Velcro backed. And notice this Velcro ring that's already, the female end is in there. You have the ability to move it up or move it back depending on where your ear falls, so you get a perfect alignment. You can see the white EPS behind it, and then now you have your main EPS or your main comfort liner, which again has snaps, but it has snaps away from places that are going to create pressure points. As I begin to uninstall this here, get a quick shot of that. It's 3 snaps, it comes right out. Now check this out. You can buy different sets of C4 comfort liners. And one of the things that we wish is that maybe I could buy different thicknesses of this top ridge on its own. See how it all works together here. You can componentize this, completely pull it apart, uninstall it. Notice it's a mixture of different densities of foam, mixture of negative spaces and open areas that are going to allow for airflow. But again, you even have some adjustability. Let me put this guy back together here. On this side, you even have some adjustability across the top here. So again, you have the ability to block out some of the channels and really configure it different for different times of the year and how you want to ride. This is actually movable to custom tune the fit as well. And again, if you want to buy, just like cheek pads, if you want to buy different densities or different thicknesses, you can do that. Notice on the inside, ShinyTex material is basically sonic welded. The fit and finish is very clean. There's a minimization of any seams or stitching that you're going to feel. And where their snaps are, which are going to be low on the brow and behind the occipital ridge, we found that sometimes manufacturers can't get away with these snaps along the front, but after riding in this helmet, we thought it was a better executed design than even the C3 Pro, and we were just fine with that. So limited pressure points, not a concern for us. Even if we saw it on a different manufacturer, we might be saying, and after we test it, sometimes they get in the way. Now, if you look at the inside of the helmet, I absolutely love this. Schubert tends to finish things. They are Germans. They can't help themselves. I love that about them. This is German engineering at its finest. Even your APS is going to be coated. Notice 15mm vent holes at the front. They come in, they're going to channel that air down, and it actually channels out the back. And remember, if we look at the neck roll, down along the back side here, you are going to have that mesh material. So again, there's your exhaust port. So rather than putting Venturi vents along the back, you have that full Mohawk channeling down out the back of the helmet, allowing you to keep that airflow moving, especially in the warmer times of the year. So ultimately, if we think about the C4, and we think about the guts, we think about the exterior, we think about the refinements in everything that they've built here, we're fans. When you think about spending north of $700, you really have to understand what you're investing in. And when you think about it really from the fact that if I were you, I would think value for dollar. Am I getting enough helmet from comfort, from feature, from protection, from style, what I'm looking for to justify the cost? I actually believe when you stack up feature, function, value per dollar on the new C4, you're getting more helmet for dollar than you were even on the C3. And we're big fans of the C3. If we think about it, the really only negative that I could come up with is the fact that it added 4 ounces, but it's a well-balanced aerodynamic helmet, and ultimately you're not going to really feel that because everything else works so well. We really didn't have many gripes, even taking that leap forward and adding 4 ounces, which is 4 ounces. But thinking about how much they added to the helmet, without it being 6 or 8 ounces, I actually give them a lot of credit. It's a big feat. Our favorite things about this helmet, remember, are the new SC1 system, which gets rid of the SRC in the neck roll. That's huge. The fact that the fitment's a true intermediate oval, and then a lot of the other little creature comforts that really the sum of those parts make it greater than the whole. And you ultimately look at a newly restyled helmet, again, carrying the new flagship for Schubert. And they've done a great job. We've waited for the C4. We always say, how are they going to top what they did? And to their credit, call it empathetic design, thinking about what could be improved for the rider, listening to customer feedback, and then just going to their lab and doing what they do. Schubert has done a great job here on the new C4. Now, the next step in your journey is to click the info button, your desktop, your mobile device. Read other rider reviews at the product detail page at RevZilla.com or in the comments on our YouTube channel. You should not just take my word for it. Ultimately, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research, see what other riders are saying. But hopefully, you now know what went into a $700+ helmet, and you know where you can invest if this is going to be the right solution for your riding needs. As always, we'll ship free over $39. If you want to talk to a gear geek, see us at RevZilla.com or 877-792-9455. Thanks for watching our detailed breakdown. Remember, subscribe to us at RevZilla on our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with our opinion of the latest and greatest in the moto universe. I'm Anthony. We'll see you next time.